Stories of an aircraft builder. Back in the late 90s, representatives of the city of Schwerin approached me, attracted by my publications, and asked whether I would be interested in moving my work to Schwerin. I told them that I was definitely interested and that I could imagine moving into the old hall on Lake Schwerin that was left over from Fokker's plant. The idea had been buzzing around in my head for a long time, and a rough concept had already been drawn up, which I now had reason to develop further. So I revised the concept again and took it with me to Schwerin for a presentation of the whole thing. The concept then disappeared into a drawer and I didn't hear anything about it for the next few years. It wasn't until around 2000 that I was informed, on request, that the concept was well received and there was interest, but that all efforts to implement it somehow failed due to the lack of capital. I still have the original concept from 1997 in my drawer and would like to present it to you, but translating it doesn't make much sense. So in the German video, or the German version of this video, I read it in German, and since I revisited again at the beginning of the 2000s together with my friend Jerry Moss, and we even produced a beautifully designed brochure to promote the idea, which we had printed, I'd like to read the printed version of this brochure to you here instead, in the English version. I read the wording of the original concept in the German version in the video and the English text of the later version in this video. Both texts are different in many ways, and the German draft is much longer also. At this time, both serve equally as background images, which saves us a complete episode that would only disrupt the flow. Keep in mind, the brochure is a bit out of date and only supposed to give you the full background story of what was going on at the time. We have also worked through the basic idea together in a video that was Jerry Moss and myself, which is also available in German and English on my channel. The German title is Fokker Zeitreise and the English title is Fokker, a Time Machine. You may look that up on the channel, but you have to scroll far down. But for now, have fun with the text of the brochure as Jerry and I have developed it, following the outline of the original German concept that I approached the city of Schwerin with. The brochure, however, keep that in mind, was intended to attract financial supporters, so it is a bit out of date now. Still, enjoy. It is all in the past, until we make it happen again. Draft for a unique Museum of Aviation History. We all built models, watched movies, or read books about what our fathers did. But we can live the dream. What has been accomplished so far, and what is the goal? In order to make it happen, Achim Engels built his first Fokker DR-1 triplane reproduction based on his research, starting with the actual build when he was 15 years of age. This aircraft now is on display with the Technics Museum at Speyer on the Rhine. In 2005, the company of Engels Aeroplanbau was founded in his hometown of Schondorf. The objective of this company is to make authentic, fully certified reproduction fly, to research structural details of early airplanes, investigating materials used and ways of vintage handcrafting of these planes, to generate new sets of construction drawings for vintage airplanes by collecting and studying historic documents, measure original pieces, and reverse engineering. Drawings are created using the methods of the period via a drawing board and ink. To build aircraft parts or entire airframes for static and flying displays. To restore and/or repair original vintage parts or entire airplanes. To provide know-how in the field of vintage airplane building. To provide an historic archive of materials available to interested people to provide hands-on assistance in creating home-built reproductions by others, to guide home builders through the registration process wherever possible. The idea is to create a time machine that is capable of taking us back to the times when these planes were the leading edge of aircraft technology. To work on them, to fly with them, to breathe the spirit. The idea is one thing, talk is nothing, it needs to be done. Money is not available to us. The only way to make this happen is by doing it and putting a lifetime of labor into it. Any money generated by the current work is being plowed back into the ongoing running and development of the company, so as to create even more aircraft and do more research, with the end goal being a very special museum that is unique in the world today. These aircraft are home-built airplanes and are certified as experimentals. Depending on the type, the airplane will be certified either as normal or aerobatic. Now it is time to ask for financial support. This leaflet is supposed to tell you more about what monies are needed. The Fokker Flugzeugwerke Museum Plan. What is the plan? Our plan is to build both the production and final test flight facilities of the Fokker Flugzeugwerke of the 1914 through 1918 period as per the two Schwerin sites to meet the 100th anniversary. The museum site can be anywhere in the world as long as the whole complex can be constructed. What is needed? The basic ingredient is money, large sums, followed by a lashing of enthusiasm and dedication. What is needed is a group of single-minded individuals who can contribute financially to make this plan happen. Money can be sourced from anyone or group of individuals, but it must come without any expectation of a return on a short or medium-term basis. The funds would be locked up in land, buildings, equipment, and resources to build aircraft. People who contribute would be members of the strategic board and would have open invitations to the site. Already there is a small core of interested individuals who will guide and develop the site within the constraint and resources available. But without any major funding, the plan will not happen. These individuals would form the core of the operational board to manage day-to-day activities and report to the strategic board. What is the Fokker Flugzeugwerke Museum? The museum will be a time capsule set in the 1914 to 1918 period for all aspects across the site. It will be a place for recreating a living, working aircraft production factory and test flight center, which will have the following key features. Reenactment of the time frame 1914 to 1918, including dress, working tools and working practices. This will not just be limited to the aircraft, but also other reenactment societies catering to specialized areas such as vehicles, motorcycles and militaria. Museum staff will operate both sites as a unit with a suitable hierarchy of management. A good research library will be accessible to the public via a librarian. Historians should be encouraged, and via a small fee donation would be allowed specific access. The library would be both electronic and paper-based to ensure a wide variety of materials. A large quantity of material is already available, but not on one side. Acquiring new material will also be one of the museum's key goals. Links to other reenactment societies and individuals will be encouraged. These could be special day or weekend events. Hosting of these events would be within the overall operational calendar. School visits should be encouraged to aid learning in history and technology. This could extend to specialist training in welding and other metal and wood-related skills for schools and higher education organizations. Links to other museums should be encouraged, to allow placement of aircraft and information about the Fokker Museum within the wider context of visitors and museums. Production Center. The museum's production center will be engaged in the work of creating period aircraft, using appropriate tools and methods of the time frame. All aircraft will be fully airworthy according to the required certification process by the appropriate civil flight authorities. Where load tests are required, and that is in most cases, testing will be carried out on-site with the controls set by a specialist engineer. Aircraft will be produced as required, but one example will always be built for use in the museum. Already the following aircraft are in works at Schorndorf. A Fokker D7 for the museum. This will be the first completed aircraft, expected test flights 2012. Fokker D7, 3 of, 1 for the museum. Fokker E3, 3 of, 1 for the museum. Fokker DR1 for the museum. Rumpler C4, 3 of, 1 for the museum. Pfalz D3, 3 of, 1 for the museum. Fokker C1, 3 of, 1 for the museum again. The range of hands-on activities for day visitors and time-bound volunteers needs to be defined, focusing around aircraft construction. Some volunteers may not be interested in aircraft and thus want to work on the vehicles or in the library, for example. The production center will also house the bulk of the education facilities teaching individuals the various skills required to build and maintain World War I aircraft. Flight Test Center. The Flight Test Center will operate as a private airfield, controlled locally. Pilots wanting to fly Fokker aircraft should be encouraged. Pilot vetting and certification to type would be required. Use of two-seater aircraft such as the Fokker B2 and C1 would ensure a safe transition for modern pilots. Other near-period aircraft such as the Tiger Moth may be used to aid the training program. Flying displays will be arranged to suit both weather and seasonal conditions. Public viewing would be encouraged, and the original site had adequate facilities for the public in the tribune and casino areas on the northern edge of the field. Visits by World War I period aircraft will be encouraged, with special flying days being established in the calendar to attract both pilots and the general public. What sort of people will visit the Fokker Flugzeugwerke Museum? There would be a range of people, both local and international, such as day visitors, families and individuals, time-bound volunteers wanting to work in specific or general areas, pilots, engineers, historians, reenactors, film and documentary producers. What are the business and income opportunities for the Fokker Flugzeugwerke Museum? The initial business opportunities are small, as it will take time to establish a fully operational site. However, the following would be considered. Short-term employment for local builders, architects and general trades for constructing the site buildings and facilities. This would be over a 4 to 5 year period. Long-term local employment for the maintenance program for the site. Long-term local employment for museum staff for the administration, ticket office, restaurant, library, on-site education. Part and full-time employment would be options for the various posts. Local and international employment for production and hands-on in education staff. Local hotel and guest house accommodation, both short and long term. Additional tourist revenue from visitors, regards of duration of stay. Flying displays, both daily and special annual events, would provide an additional platform for revenue and short-term employment. Provision of a site of special interest for film and documentary makers, which in turn will provide additional income streams both to the museum and the local economy. What would the site contain? The complete museum would contain both the airfield, which was the final assembly site, and the production center. The latter would be designed from the original drawings to complement the airfield without interfering with operations. So, how can you help to fire up? Are you a sponsor? We are looking for financial support from people who share the dream and are willing to fully engage with the plans. Day-to-day activities will be managed by the museum as an operational board. Other board members will be appointed according to an agreed set of rules, both to cover legal and operational needs. Are you a local authority? We are looking for local government support and linkages to tourists and other agencies to help support our objectives. This will happen once the short list of sites have been defined. Are you the flight authority? Help us establish the flight space regarded for this specialist flying. Are you an individual willing to play a hands-on role over an extended period? What skills can you bring to the museum? Equally, what skills would you like to learn? There is always work to be done in the workshop at Schorndorf, for those with the capability and/or the enthusiasm. Carpenters, joiners, welders, sheet metal fabrication, drawing and design reading are just some of the skills required in one person. It is a hell of a list and is only part of the skills needed to build aircraft the original way. Are you a potential volunteer? What are you interested in? What areas of the technology, or is it in the archive and library? Would you like to donate? We will provide a facility to enable individuals and organizations to donate.